Welcome everybody to a look at the latest 4K release from Hammer, and it is 1970s Cry of the Banshee. So this is directed by Gordon Hesler, who also did the likes of The Oblong Box and Scream Again, both of which came out around the same time as this. But then he would go on to do the likes of The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, which was one of the three films that were done with visual effects from Ray Harryhausen, and then also in the 80s did Pray for Death. So this is a horror film. Depending on which version you watch, it clocks in at either 87 or 91 minutes long. Stars Vincent Price, who we've talked about many a time before because I've seen him in now 58 other films. But he did do The Oblong Box and Scream Again alongside Gordon Hesler, so this was one of three films he did with him. Also stars Hilary Dwyer, who was also in The Oblong Box, who was also in Witchfinder General alongside Vincent Price, as well as in The Body Stealers. So in 17th century England, Lord Whitman wages unending war on what he sees as the ever-present scourge of witchcraft, and many local villagers have suffered at his hands, but one victim uses her occult powers to curse his family, enlisting unknowing help from one of the household. So yeah, this period horror film unfortunately is a bit of a mess, and out of the three directed efforts by Gordon Hesler that star Price, this isn't my favourite. There are two main issues with this that stop me from enjoying it more. Is first of which is the fact that it treats women in a really rather abominable way, which might be the point, as you know, it's obviously trying to speak about how men treated women in such a way that they wanted a real excuse to be able to treat them in a poor way anyway. So yeah, obviously, witchcraft was kind of a scary thought. You're in a country that is obviously deeply religious, really, really suspicious of the old religion, which was obviously paganism. And, any means which they can treat women in a poor manner and get away with it is obviously going to be exploited. So I get that point. But at the end of the day, you can do it in a way that is way less uncomfortable and still be impactful, but in a satisfying way, which this doesn't manage. And that's also due to the fact there's a serious lack of characterization to the women that are abused in numerous ways. So yeah, you feel for them, but they also, at the end of the day, just feel like a prop that is just there to be beaten on at the end of the day. So that's a problem. And then there's also a real lack of characters to sympathize with as well, outside of the women that are abused. So yeah, there's very few men, for instance, that actually stand up for the women, and there's also very few of the villagers that are quite clearly seeing what's going on and even participating in it at the same time as well. So that is an issue. That said, Price is as good as ever in the villainous role. The supporting cast is decent. The period production is convincing. It is well paced, has some good violence. The plot progressively gets better after the somewhat rocky first half, which is due to the fact that you start to be able to engage with the characters in a way that isn't just them being violent. So they start investigating who is doing this curse, who is working with the witch that has done this curse in the first place. So that is engaging. And the ending is satisfyingly done as well. There's also some decent atmosphere in that second half as well, but that first half is a real slog, quite frankly, and it doesn't help that the script isn't particularly great either. So yeah, as a result, this only gets 3 out of 5. By no means the best Vincent Price film that I've seen, and yeah, even though I'm pretty sure I gave Scream Again the same kind of rating, and The Oblong Box not much more, yeah, it's definitely the worst of those three. So yeah, which is a shame. But then again, at least we finally got another film from Vincent Price in my collection, which yeah, this hasn't had a Blu-ray or 4K release in the UK before. So that's great. And then yeah, we've got 2 discs with this release as well. So the 4K and then the Blu-ray on the back. We also have special features on this as well. So there's a 2025 commentary with Chris Alexander, a 2025 interview with critic Kim Newman, who has obviously done many special features before, archive interview with the director Gordon Hesler, archive trailer, TV and radio spot, and an image gallery as well. And yeah, this we don't have any reversible sleeve artwork. We only have the original poster on one side, with the plot synopsis and such on the reverse. So yeah, but what we do have interestingly is a lot of write up about the restoration and about the film itself. So Yeah, about the restoration, this was held by ProTech Vaults in Burbank for MGM. The 35mm original negative for the director's cut of Cry of the Banshee was scanned at 4K resolution, 16-bit, and restored extensively using Phoenix and PF Clean software. In addition to the usual dirt and defects, the main issues with the image were general instability and density slash colour fluctuations, causing flicker throughout. By careful processing, these effects were minimized, allowing for a more even, stable picture. The theatrical cut, which is the 87-minute version, the director's cut is the 91-minute version, is a completely different edit with alternative main titles, a new score by Les Baxter, and around 4 minutes of footage excised. The negative picture scans were used where possible, but the main titles were taken from alternative scans and restored to match. HDR grading with Dolby Vision was carried out on the Resolve system. So the theatrical cut is in the aspect ratio of 185:1, and the director's cut is in the aspect ratio of 185:1 as well as an open gate version with 137:1 aspect ratio. So you've got two aspect ratios there for the director's cut and one for the theatrical. So as the soundtracks for the two versions are completely different, the respective audio for each version was restored individually. So there was no separate discrete audio exist for the film, but by using, oh dear, that is unfortunate. They have used by using AI to strip out the dialogue from the final mono mix soundtrack and then using the resulting music and effects stem for the surrounds. A new 5.1 surround mix was created for the director's cut version only. The original mono mix is also available for those that wish to replicate the original theatrical version. So that is a bit of a shame. Had no idea that they were using AI for this version. Based on what I've seen online and such. So that is a real shame. That puts a downer on this release in overall. To be honest, I just don't see the point of using it when you could have just used a mono mix. Quite frankly, there's no real reason to have the 5.1 at the end of the day. There's no massive explosions. There's no action scenes as per se. Any gunshots that are used in this are just those old flintlock one-shot pistols. So they don't really need to be evolve with the 5.1. So yeah, it's a real shame, and that has been used, quite frankly. So yeah, I did actually use the 5.1 mix. I didn't notice any issues outright, but then again, I think it is the first time seeing the director's cut as well. So yeah, that is a real shame. I'll opt to just watch it in the mono audio in future, to be honest. So yeah, that is a real shame. That's gonna entirely put this out of contention for any kind of award ceremonies at the end of this year like I did last year. So yeah, that is a real shame. So yeah, about the film though, we've got a so the film was filmed in October 1969 by Gordon Hesler at Grimsdyke House in Middlesex. Cry of the Banshee, in the version Hesler delivered to AIP, took full advantage of the lessening of film censorship and featured more sex and violence for an X certificate than would have been acceptable even a year before. AIP recut the film for theatrical release, removing approximately 4 or 5 minutes, reordering it into a linear narrative, fully replacing Wilfred Joseph's original score with one by Les Baxter, and cropping Terry Gilliam's animated titles through a series of still frames. Well, I don't know why they would do that to the animated titles, because they're really rather quite nice actually. They are far more upscale than you would expect for a low budget film like this. So yeah, I don't know why you would remove those really rather inventive animated titles, which are actually really well done. So it was this version that was released in the US in July 1970 and the UK a few months later in November. Maybe if you used people to actually proofread your thing there, you would say in November, not in the November. Uh, Funny how AI didn't catch that one. As well as latterly on VHS and Laserdisc. With the advent of DVD, the longer uncut version was discovered in the archive, and that then became the dominant version of the film on home video. This release features both the theatrical version and has its director cut, blah blah blah, both restored by Hammer. So and obviously with AI getting involved as well. So yeah, that is the film. So yeah, it's a real shame that they've used AI. But then again, this film isn't a particularly great one. It's pretty much only for Vincent Price completionists, quite frankly, because if you want a version of this film, then just see Witchfinder General. That has also had a 4K release. Don't think any AI was using that one either. And yeah, it's a much better film about witchcraft and, you know, Vincent Price being in a villainous role. Far more effective in terms of its violence, its depiction of abuse. It's got better atmosphere, a better acting performance from Vincent Price as well, and it's just better directed on top of all of that. While, yeah, it doesn't have a wonky narrative in terms of first half being poor and the second half being better either. It's just consistently really, really good. So, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, AI was using this. So, yeah, if that's something you want to avoid, I personally would have if I'd have known about it. But at the end of the day, I also want as many Vincent Price films in my collection as possible. So if someone else does release this without using AI, then I'll happily sell this and get that version instead. But as it stands, I'll keep this in my collection for now, but I'll avoid using the AI sound mixing that has been done in future, which unfortunately I didn't know about until doing this review. So yeah, but nonetheless, if you have seen Cry of the Banshee before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.